How's it going, y'all? Tmat MTG, and today we're here with a video I honestly didn't expect to be doing that now, but Wizards made a lot of really big announcements today, and I figured it was enough where it's actually worth talking about because some of these things are pretty huge. This all ties around the announcement of the new set coming out here in another month or two, Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. This isn't out for another month or two, but they showed us some new cards here for Standard, the new Buy a Box promo, and new Mythic, and a lot of this stuff actually looks really good so far early on. I'm actually really impressed here, and these are mostly just uncommons we're talking about. But we also have a historic anthology coming out soon. They've announced stuff for Jumpstart coming back, and then finally an event called Mirror Mirror, which is actually possibly the biggest announcement of all of these. So we'll save that for last. But enough yapping. Let's get into it and look at some of these new cards. Let's go. All right. So first off, we got a new Buy a Box promo, which will be standard legal. This is Vorpal Sword. This is a black mana artifact equipment. A quick creature gets +2/+0 and has Death Touch. You have to pay double black to equip it, so not too shabby there. But the weird text on this thing, if you pay 5 and triple black, so 8 mana total, until end of turn, Vorpal Sword gains whenever a quick creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So this is a thing you can kind of play down early on and then play your creatures. Later on, you could attach it to something. 2-0 and Death Touch, that's a good amount of power there, especially when you talk of things like Seasoned Hallowed Blade, which just has indestructible anyway. You can just swing in with this and it's make it really hard for them to block. Also, we can't forget about Trample, because Trample and Death Touch is a very, very key thing. Not that Questing Beast needed any help anyways, but if you attach this to a Questing Beast, that just seems so good. And any creature with Trample, really, Death Touch, getting that damage through there, if you can actually pay that 8 mana, now granted, 8 mana is a lot to pay, but if they don't have an answer for it, they literally just lose the game there. So, Vorpal Sword, not like an extremely broken card or anything, but something that probably has potential to see some play. Very neat design here. I like seeing all the different kind of arts on here, so pretty cool in there. Let's take a look at some more. So we got a flashy mythic here as well. This is Tmat, which needs no introduction. Tmat is a key figure in a lot of different things here. Tmat is 2 Wooburg, legendary creature dragon god, flying 7/7. When Tmat enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Tiamat that each have different names, reveal them, then put them to your hand, then shuffle. I'm kind of disappointed about this one just for myself because I really wanted a really good Transmogrify target, and when I saw the mana cost, I was like, man, maybe this is it. But for this, you wouldn't be casting it that way, so you'd just be getting a 7/7 vanilla creature, which is fine, but not what you want to do. If you want to get spicy and brew a deck around this, I'm sure you could. Honestly, I don't think this will end up being very playable, but it's a cool card nonetheless. I love that alternate art style. That is beautiful. And you can't, if you build your deck around this, playing a 7/7 flyer and getting 5 other cards to guarantee into your hand, that's pretty spicy. So maybe to see play, we'll see who's got the creative juices to make this kind of deck work. Let's look at some of these uncommons though, because these things are sweet. So we got 3 uncommons here, which are all based around D&D lore anyway, which is kind of cool. Now, myself personally, I'm not a big D&D person. It's not my thing. But I know a lot of people are that play Magic, so it's kind of a cool crossover if you're into that kind of thing. Myself, I don't really know much about it, to be honest. I don't really play it, but I have nothing against it. So let's take a look at these cards, because each and every one of these is actually super playable. We have Portable Hole here, white artifact, 1 mana. When Portable Hole enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent, and opponent controls a mana 2 or less until Portable Hole leaves the battlefield. So this is like a little bit more restrictive baffling in, but for 1 mana, that's really, really good. I think this will be a super, super playable card here. This thing is nice. Especially when I'm thinking of Mono White, again, mentioning Seasoned Hallowed Blade here, but a 1 mana answer to Hallowed Blade and creatures that have indestructible is super nice. We have Power Word Kill, which is a very just weird name card. 1 in a black instant, destroy target non-angel, non-demon, non-devil, non-dragon creature. This is going to be a Doomblade a lot of the time, and you're going to like to see it. There's not a ton of angel, demon, devils, or dragons around in Standard right now, so I think this is actually a super, super neat card. Finally, and I think this is the best of all of them, Prosperous Innkeeper. And we see Innkeeper in the name. It's green. It's a 1/1 green Innkeeper. We get really scared here. But this is a 2 mana 1/1. When Prosperous Innkeeper enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. That bottom part, that's fine. That's going to be really useful in some games, especially against mono red if they don't kill it. Because it's just a 2 mana 1/1. So nobody's going to want to use removal on this kind of thing. But if they don't, it is going to accumulate value as the game goes on. But even if they kill it, you're still getting a treasure tokens. This is a way to kind of ramp, guaranteed. Go 1 mana, 2 mana, 4 mana. There's a lot of decks that want to do that, especially if you're playing creature-based decks anyway. Gain that life with it as well. This card is sweet, and especially for an uncommon, this just seems super, super good. So all 3 of these cards, very playable. Not to put down Strixhaven or anything, but these 3 cards just seem better than most of the Strixhaven rares. All of these are not very conditional, just kind of good on their own cards. Things that can see main deck play in all kinds of decks. So if the rest of the set is as powerful, I'll be a little bit scared. But man, this looks good. Let's look at these lands. So we have these lands here, and there's apparently going to be 4 of them for each kind of land type. I'll be honest, I hate this. This isn't for me, but it's kind of cool. The way it works is that flavor text here is kind of like a D&D setup, so you're making your own little lore here. Like, say, if you start at one side and go to the other, it's kind of like a D&D campaign. That's really neat to me, but I don't play D&D, so I don't really care. And as far as it looks, I just don't like the text and flavor text on lands. So these are a big pass for me, but if you're in this kind of thing, it is pretty cool and on point with the flavor. Also, we have this classic rulebook kind of border here, which is actually super, super neat. So this is apparently like the rulebook kind of art that you have from the D&D books. So on the left here, we see the regular art for whatever this card will be. It's unnamed at the moment. At the right, we have the classic rulebook style. So some of these cards we have in this kind of art. I love, love, love this. Even though I don't play D&D, I'm a sucker for art and kind of things like this. And it really reminds me of like a lot of more older style RPGs that I play. Paper Sorcerer is one where, like, if anybody happened to play Paper Sorcerer, it's a very vague indie game, but that kind of art style right here, especially in the black and white, is like what I'm all about. So seeing this classic rulebook kind of look here just looks super, super sweet. So excited to see more cards in this style and see what they look like. Let's take a look at some other stuff here. So on May 27th, Historic Anthology 3 comes out, and there'll be 25 new cards added to the Historic format. They've shown us 2 of these, one of them being Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger. So this thing coming back from Phyrexia to do some damage. It's the very first Vorinclex printed. Be curious to see if it sees play or not. I don't think it's good enough to see play, to be honest. 8 mana is a lot for what that kind of thing does, but the effect is very powerful, so we'll see. And then finally, Whirler Virtuoso is the other one. I'm not going to read over these. You can read over them here. But I played Magic Origins when it was in Standard back in the day. This is when I was kind of beginning at Magic, and I was more of a fresh little pup here. But Whirly Rogue is one of those cards, like, it doesn't strike you on the face as something super, super strong. But 4 mana that makes 3 different creatures when it enters the battlefield, and being able to tap 2 things and make stuff unblockable. If you're underestimating this card from seeing it, don't, because it's actually a lot stronger than it looks. This will probably find its way into some decks somewhere. So they also had an announcement beginning June 4th and running through early July. Jumpstart returns to Arena. I actually really enjoyed Jumpstart. It's a very simple thing and something I didn't play a lot of. But it's one of those kind of things you can just jump in, play some games, and have some fun, and then you're done with it. It's also, I thought it was like a kind of neat way to get some of those alternate lands and things like that are somewhat rare. So if you're into that kind of thing and want a way to kind of push yourself to grind for those, Jumpstart's a neat way to do it. So I like Jumpstart. It's simple. I'm an easy person to please for the most part, so Jumpstart's pretty cool. So finally, possibly most important of all, there's going to be a new event coming out called Mirror Mirror, and I'm just going to read this straight from the site. In July, we're running a short but exciting event called Mirror Mirror. Imagine a world where Oko, Thief of Crowns was printed with balanced abilities and became just another great historic card. Waters Teferi Time Raveler was printed, where he was more of a friend than a foe to the format. In Mirror Mirror, you'll explore this other universe of decks featuring rebalanced versions of some of Historic's iconic banned cards. This legendary event won't stay around for long, but you'll just have to wait and see what's inside later this year. I know this is just a random event to some people, but this is actually kind of telling where the future of Magic may be going. And I'm kind of torn on a little bit because I'm a paper person at heart. I love paper to death, and they've also announced in this thing that May 28th sanctioned events open back up, which is really exciting, depending on local guidelines. And even if I may not be going right at May 28th, but it's nice to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. Maybe there's in the horizon, there's actual paper events coming up again, which is very cool. But a deck, a thing like this where they're kind of reworking some cards and editing and altering them, that's something people have been clamoring for a while. And honestly, the existence of paper Magic has held that back. It really sucks. Everybody hates bans, and nobody likes bans when you craft these cards or you really make a deck around these cards, and they just become too powerful and they're just never seen again. We've wanted erratas and things of that nature to be on Arena for a long time, and this is a way to kind of test it out and see how it goes. It's a dangerous game because you can't do erratas because of paper Magic, and you don't want to get in the habit of just doing that kind of thing all the time. However, it's kind of exciting because, like I said, it's if Oko could just be a little bit more fixed and be balanced, or if Teferi wasn't such a... We'll bleep it out, but, maybe the cards actually aren't that bad at all. So there's a lot of potential here for what this is and what this could mean for Magic the Gathering. This is going to scare a lot of people, and for people who don't play paper Magic, they're probably just overjoyed about this because this is what we wanted for a long time. It's a very thin line, and I'm not going to get too much more into it from that, but the potential for this, if it goes well and the response is positive, could make a very big and changing impact on the way Magic is played and the way Magic is printed and all this kind of stuff. So I'll be curious to see how they work with this and what they do with it and what comes about it. Maybe nothing comes out of it and I'm just overreacting it, but this seems like a telling kind of thing for what could be coming in the future. So yeah, Summer of Legend, a lot of big announcements here, a lot of exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to the new set already. Again, Strixhaven. Strixhaven's a very cool set, but with Throne of Eldraine and stuff, it's just kind of overpowered. So it's kind of encouraging to see some of these cards, especially some uncommons, just looking like they're pretty playable already as is. So hopefully this set brings some very cool stuff, and they have some very good ideas. D&D's been a creative outlet for a lot of people, and something a lot of people really, really like. So maybe this can bring some new faces to Magic, which is always a good thing to see new people fall in love with the game that we all love, for the most part. So yeah, tell me what you think in the comments. What do you think about the Mirror Mirror event? What do you want to see in Historic Anthology? What kind of cards you want to see for Standard? And what kind of D&D things you want brought into this? What do you think about it? Hope you all enjoyed this. Again, this is a little bit different than what we usually do. I did not plan on making this video at all. But reading this announcement, it was all just so huge, so I figured we had to talk about it. So thank you all for watching. Appreciate the support as always. Let's go.